What's up everyone? So today's video, we're gonna be going ahead and removing the clutch from the car, and this is because I wanted to get most of the old, whatever's wrong with the car, get rid of it, assess what we need, and start getting the parts coming so that we can get underway. So right now the car, you can see, is on the lift, and I wanted to point out something too in putting it on the lift as well, because there was something I did want to mention about the way that it was put on the other lift, and also just the other lift that it fell off of. There looked like there was some issues with it, and I want to point those out right now since this thing's up there. Okay, so real quick, you guys, the lift that it fell off of, if you guys recall, they were taking these arms and they were swinging them back and forth while the lift was halfway up still. Remember, they were pointing out that the lift didn't fail, that the arms were still up, but you saw them moving the arms like this, swinging them. Every lift has these locking mechanisms to lock the arms in place when the vehicle is lifted up. So it locks the arms in, and you want to make sure that you don't bypass these things because they prevent the arms from articulating in and out. And the other thing that I noticed, because like I said, it seemed like those arms just swung out of the way and then the thing went down. Other thing too is the rubber pads. A lot of, pretty much every lift, if it's maintained well and right from new, it has these rubber pads on there to give it some grip so that it's actually holding on to there. If you look at the lift that it fell off of, there was just like these square steel slippery pads. So who knows where they placed them on here? Honestly, I can't really tell. There is a bit of a dent here, but I think that's more from them hitting something on the road that doesn't look too fresh. But yeah, like it's just so crazy. Like you can see some of the spots, I think, where the lift was slipping off of as you walk underneath here. But yeah, I honestly don't know where it was that they were trying to lift it up from. Nobody will ever know, I suppose. But here's a good indication. So see here, you can see here where it slipped off and ripped out this rubber plug that was here as the arms slid out, or this thing slid off the lift. So you can see that's pretty fresh. You can also see here, there's something here that slid across. It's really hard to say where they tried to lift this thing up. This looks pretty fresh. So I'm guessing it slipped off there and ran across there on something. But, I mean, who will ever know which way they put this thing on for it to slide off? These are pretty fresh too. So I would guess that it slipped off there. But, I mean, there's nothing damaged about it. It's just not the undercoating that's peeled up a bit. But it's not dented in. Nothing wrong with the car. And as for these things here, you guys, I know I heard on the last video when it was damaged or whatever, or the incident happened, that they were saying, oh, look at this. This is just a pinch weld. These things, like, I've had one of these cars before. When these cars are generally pretty low, and you can whack these, and anybody that has an S2000 knows that you can hit these and they'll fold over and you'll end up having to bend them back. That's why, and these are the 3 bolts that usually hold the fender on. And these are really prone because it's just this little skimpy piece of metal that sticks out here, and it's really easy to bend. So if you go across the other side, I think this one's bent. Yeah, so this one's bent a little bit, but I mean, it's just this skimpy little piece of metal here, and they easily bend, you guys. So it's really not a big deal. I can grab this with a set of channel locks and bend it right back. So anyways, let's get to it. So what we're gonna do is, generally, to remove the transmission from one of these things, you don't have to remove the whole exhaust. You have to remove just the header. But because I'm going to be putting on that exhaust, and this ugly, cheap one is going to be coming off, we're just going to remove the whole thing. So I'm going to remove the whole exhaust system, because I'm going to have to get down here. I'm going to have to take off the manifold, and then I have to unbolt it from here, which means the cap's pretty much just going to fall out. So might as well just take it out. It's going to be a little bit easier to get to these bolts here for the transmission brace. So let's get the exhaust out and go on to the next step. All right, so the transmission's dropped down like you guys can see. So same thing as what I said. The rear mount is loosened and off, and now the whole transmission is on an angle. If I step back, you can probably see better. It's on an angle so that we can get to those top upper transmission bolts. As far as harness stuff goes, it's really simple. There's just a few clips, like you can see here on some of the sensors. You're gonna disconnect that, put it up towards the front so that you can free the transmission. This transmission's already been off before. You can see a red clutch pressure plate in there, so definitely not stock. And we're actually missing a transmission bolt right here. So we're gonna remove all the bolts. They're 17 mils, with the exception of these bottom ones are 14s. So we'll remove all those, and then we can separate the halves and continue. Some of them are gonna be facing the opposite way, like you can see here and here, a couple of the bolts, but we'll remove all those. We're gonna throw a strap around the transmission and slide it off. Okay, real quick, me and Omar are just trying to wiggle this thing off, and there's ball bearings falling out of the housing right now. See these little ball bearings? So I think it's the throwout bearing is just exploded. It's all falling out of this hole. See this little ball bearing here? So it should be pretty interesting when we pop this out. It might not even be the actual clutch, it might just be the throwout bearing is exploded, but we'll see in a second here. Thing that you put back in. So here's the clutch, and of course you can probably tell it's not a stock clutch, some sort of aftermarket clutch. I don't see any stickers on it, so I don't know what brand it is. Might be a no-name brand, but no stickers or anything like that. Here's the throwout bearing, and this was the problem with the clutch. So I guess the last owner destroyed it. And what you see in here is where there's supposed to be a bunch of ball bearings. And that's what was all over the floor, was all these ball bearings falling out everywhere. And if you go over to the transmission, you can see the other half of the throwout bearing is all here in pieces. Like, check this out. If I can get this thing off. It's just falling apart here. So there's the other half of the bearing, and it is just roasted. So that's what was wrong with it. The clutch is probably honestly okay, but let's pop the clutch off real quick, and we'll see what's going on in there. Decide how much meat is left on this clutch. I'm guessing since we're in here, we'll probably just like change the clutch anyways, but we'll find out in a second. That's it. Flywheel clutch assembly is now off and on the ground, so let's take a look. So flywheel doesn't look too bad, but looking at the clutch disc, you guys can see here, clutch disc is pretty much roasted. You can tell just by how much clutch dust is on everything. Like, look at the floor where it fell down from the engine. It is just covered in dust. And you can see this is a 6-puck clutch, but where the actual pads are, they're pretty well worn. If you look on this side, you can see like the rivet that holds it, it's actually starting to make contact with the clutch itself. So you can see it's been kind of eating into the pressure plate surface there. So definitely roasted. And since it's not a name brand, we're not going to try and salvage anything from it. We'll just get a complete clutch kit, probably get a lighter flywheel too, just to have some fun with it. And since the pilot bearing is in there, we'll just do it all at once. So that's gonna pretty much do it for this one. We'll put it down and we'll wrap it up. All right, you guys, so that's gonna do it for today's video. We got the clutch out, and it's kind of funny. This is the whole reason why this car was damaged, was for them to try to do what we just did and take the clutch out and to replace it. So we're gonna, now that we know what's wrong with it, we're gonna order the parts. Should get here this week, and we'll have the clutch back in next weekend and up and running. So that's the plan. And we're also gonna continue. So let me give you guys a sneak preview of what you're gonna see on the next video. This thing is so tight, like a piano string, and I don't think there's a release on it really. So we're just gonna back up the truck just to release the tension on it, because we're dragging the car right now, so keep going. All right, so thanks again for watching, guys. Make sure you're subscribed, turn on your post notifications below with that little bell so you're notified of the latest videos, and we'll see you on the next video. Take care.